I live alone in a small apartment in Columbus, Ohio. And most nights after work, I usually watch something online just to relax. Because the silence in the apartment sometimes feels heavier than noise. That night the weather was cold outside, wind hitting the windows again and again. And I decided to start watching a survival game series everyone had been talking about. Thinking it would just be another thriller show to pass time, I turned off the main lights, kept only the small lamp near the couch on, ordered some food, and started watching episode after episode without even realizing how late it was getting. The show felt intense, disturbing sometimes, but I couldn't stop watching because the idea of normal people being trapped inside deadly games strangely felt realistic, like fear mixed with curiosity. Around 2 in the morning, I finally stopped. My eyes burning from the screen, the room completely silent except for the sound of wind outside. When I stood up to go to bed, my phone vibrated suddenly on the table. At first, I thought it was some late notification or spam message. But when I looked at the screen, my chest tightened. The message came from an unknown number, and it only said, "Do you want to play the next game?" I frowned, thinking maybe a friend was joking after seeing my online status. So I ignored it, locked the phone, and went to my bedroom. But just as I lay down, another message arrived, this time saying, "You already started watching. Now you are part of the game." A strange uneasiness crawled through my body, because none of my friends knew what I was watching, and I hadn't posted anything online. I walked back to the living room, checked the door lock, checked the windows, everything normal, yet the apartment suddenly felt different. Like someone else knew I was there, watching, waiting. And that was the first night things stopped being normal in my life. Because the next morning, I found something outside my apartment door. Something that should not have been there. The next morning, I opened my apartment door, still half asleep and already late for work. But the moment I looked down at the floor outside, sleep disappeared instantly. A small card was lying right in front of my door. Plain, brown, almost like cheap paper, with 3 shapes printed in black ink, a circle, a triangle, and a square. For a few seconds, my brain refused to connect what I was seeing, but then my stomach tightened, because those exact symbols were part of the show I had watched all night. I quickly looked down the hallway, expecting someone to be there playing a prank. But the corridor was empty, silent. Every neighbor's door closed. I picked up the card slowly, half expecting someone to jump out or laugh, but nothing happened. There was no apartment number written, no name, nothing to suggest it belonged to anyone else. It was clearly meant for me. I went back inside and checked my phone again, hoping to see another message that would explain everything. But there was nothing new still. Uneasiness followed me the entire day at work, and I couldn't stop thinking about how someone knew what I watched and where I lived. That night, I returned home earlier than usual, trying to convince myself it was just coincidence or some online scam. But the moment I stepped into my apartment, something felt wrong. The air felt colder, and the living room light was on. I clearly remembered turning it off before leaving in the morning. My heart started beating faster as I slowly walked inside, checking every corner. Kitchen empty, bathroom empty, bedroom empty. Nothing seemed stolen or moved, Yet I knew something was different. Then my phone vibrated again, the unknown number. I stared at the screen for several seconds before opening the message. It said, "Preparation phase complete." A chill ran through my spine. I typed back without thinking, "Who is this?" A reply came almost instantly, "You will understand soon." Anger replaced fear for a moment, and I typed again, telling whoever this was to stop playing games. But no more messages came. That night sleep refused to come. Every small noise outside making me sit up in bed. And sometime around 3 in the morning, I heard it, footsteps, stopping right outside my apartment door. Then silence, followed by 3 slow knocks, not loud, just enough to make sure I heard them. I stayed frozen in bed, staring toward the hallway, afraid to move. The knocking never came again, but I didn't sleep until morning. And when sunlight finally entered the room, I convinced myself it was all in my head until I checked my phone and saw a message sent at 3:02 a.m. Game 1 begins soon. The message stayed on my screen the entire morning while I tried to convince myself it was just an elaborate prank. Maybe some marketing stunt or someone messing with random people. But deep inside, something felt personal about it. Like whoever was doing this knew my routine, my apartment, even my thoughts. I skipped work that day, telling my manager I was sick because the idea of leaving my apartment unattended suddenly felt dangerous. Around noon, I finally decided to step outside to clear my head and maybe prove to myself everything was normal. The hallway looked exactly the same as always. Old carpet, dim lights, faint smell of cleaning chemicals. Nothing unusual, but when I reached the elevator, I noticed something strange. On the opposite wall, someone had drawn the same 3 shapes, circle, triangle, square, with what looked like black marker. My chest tightened again. I asked the elderly woman from apartment 3B if she knew anything about it, but she looked confused and said the wall had been cleaned when she passed earlier. I quickly returned to my apartment, locked the door, and checked the hallway camera feed on my phone. My landlord had installed cameras months ago after a break-in incident. Scrolling back through the footage from the night before, I saw something that made my hands start shaking. At 2:58 a.m., 3 figures appeared in the hallway, all wearing identical dark clothing and masks, their faces completely hidden. They walked slowly, calmly, and stopped directly in front of my door. One of them placed something on the floor, probably the card from earlier. Another leaned closer to my door, almost like listening. Then all 3 turned toward the camera at the same time, as if they knew it was there, and the screen suddenly glitched, static covering everything for almost 10 seconds. When the footage returned, they were gone. I replayed the video again and again, hoping to find a rational explanation. Maybe edited footage, maybe some glitch, but deep down, fear had already settled in. Because whoever they weren't random. They came specifically to my apartment, and just as I sat there trying to process everything, my phone vibrated again. A new message appeared. Game location will be sent tonight. And for the first time since this began, a terrifying thought crossed my mind. What if ignoring them was not an option? And what if the game had already started without me realizing it? Because that evening, something arrived that made everything feel real. And there was no way to pretend anymore. I was involved now, whether the first wanted to be or not. That evening I tried to stay calm, telling myself I would ignore any new messages and simply go to sleep early, hoping everything would feel normal again in the morning. But around 8 p.m., someone knocked on my apartment door. Slow, deliberate knocks, not like a neighbor or delivery person. My heart started pounding immediately. I stayed silent, not moving, hoping whoever it was would think no one was home. The knocking stopped after a few seconds, and my phone vibrated. A message appeared. Package delivered. My stomach dropped. I slowly walked toward the door and checked through the peephole. The hallway was empty, but a small box sat directly in front of my door, wrapped in plain brown paper. No address, no label. Just my apartment number written with black marker. I hesitated for almost a full minute before finally opening the door and grabbing it. The hallway felt colder than usual, completely silent back inside. I locked the door and placed the box on the table. My hands were shaking as I opened it. Inside was a cheap smartphone, already turned on, and beneath it, a folded paper with instructions. I picked up the phone first. The screen immediately showed a video feed, live camera footage of my apartment building entrance. I froze. Someone was watching the building in real time. A message popped up on the screen. Player observation phase complete. Then another message. Game begins tonight, 11 p.m. I quickly unfolded the paper. 3 simple instructions were printed. 1. Leave apartment at 10:55 p.m. 2. Do not speak to anyone. 3. Follow directions sent to phone. At the bottom, one final sentence. Refusal results in elimination. My mouth went dry. This was insane, a prank. It had to be. But how did they know where I lived? How did they get hallway footage? And why did everything feel so personal? As the clock slowly moved toward night, fear and curiosity started fighting inside me. Part of me wanted to call the police, but another part kept remembering those masked figures standing outside my door, like they already knew everything I might try. And when the clock finally showed 10:55 p.m., my phone screen lit up again with a single command: time to play. And somehow, against all logic, I unlocked my door and stepped into the hallway, not knowing that once I left the apartment, there would be no going back. The hallway outside my apartment felt longer than usual, every light buzzing softly above me, as if the whole building was watching me leave. My phone vibrated again as I stepped outside. Walk to the end of the street. Do not look back. Cold air hit my face as I exited the building, the street almost empty. Only distant traffic sounds breaking the silence. I kept walking, forcing myself not to turn around even though every instinct screamed that someone was behind me. Halfway down the street, I heard footsteps. Slow, steady, matching my pace. My chest tightened, but the rule was clear. Do not look back. Another message appeared. Good. You are obedient. I clenched my jaw and kept walking. At the corner, a black van waited with its sliding door open. No driver visible. The phone buzzed again. Enter. For several seconds, I stood frozen on the sidewalk. This was insane. Getting into an unknown van in the middle of the night felt like the worst decision possible. But at the same time, refusing felt even more dangerous. Like they were already watching to see what I would do. Finally, my legs moved on their own. I stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind me immediately. Inside, 3 other people sat on benches along the walls. All silent, all terrified. A young woman in office clothes. A middle-aged man still wearing a restaurant uniform. And a college-aged kid hugging his backpack. Their phones were glowing too, so I wasn't the only one. The van started moving. No one spoke. Every time someone looked like they might say something, their phone vibrated and they went quiet again. After what felt like 20 minutes, the van stopped. The doors opened to reveal an abandoned warehouse district outside the city. Dim floodlights lit a large building ahead. Dozens of identical vans were parked nearby, meaning there were many more players, hundreds maybe. We were guided inside by silent staff members wearing pink uniforms and black masks. Just like the show I had watched, but this was real inside the warehouse. Rows of metal bunk beds filled a massive hall. People everywhere, confused, scared, whispering. Then a loud mechanical voice echoed through the speakers. "Welcome, players." Every conversation instantly stopped. A giant screen lit up at the front, showing the same masked symbol I had seen on my phone, and the voice continued. "You have been selected to participate in a series of games. Win, and your problems disappear. Lose, and you are eliminated." A chill ran through my entire body, because deep down, I already knew eliminated did not mean going home. And as guards ordered us to choose beds, one thought kept repeating in my head. Watching that series alone at night might have been the worst decision of my life. Sleep was impossible inside the warehouse. Lights stayed on the entire time, and guards walked between the beds, making sure no one left their place. Whispers spread across the hall. People trying to understand what was happening, some crying quietly. Others convinced it was some extreme reality show prank. But deep inside, I knew this was not entertainment. Morning came without sunrise, because we never saw outside. A loud alarm echoed through the hall, and guards ordered everyone to stand in lines. My phone vibrated. First game begins now. Fear spread instantly across the crowd. Some people begged to go home. Some tried to argue. But armed guards quickly silenced them. We were led through long concrete corridors until massive doors opened. Outside was a giant playground field surrounded by tall walls. Bright artificial sky painted above. Fake clouds, colorful buildings. Everything designed like a children's game area. And at the far end stood a giant doll. My stomach dropped. Everyone recognized it immediately. The same deadly game from the series. Red light, green light, panic spread. People started shouting that this was insane. That people died in that game. The mechanical voice echoed again. Reach the finish line before time ends. Movement detected during red light results in elimination. A countdown clock appeared above the field. 5 minutes, people laughed nervously, convinced it was just psychological pressure. Then the doll turned around. Green light. Hundreds of players rushed forward at once. I forced myself to move slowly, carefully. Remembering every detail from the show, the doll's head snapped back. Red light. Gunshots exploded across the field. Bodies dropped instantly. Blood sprayed across the sand-colored ground. For 2 seconds, no one understood what happened. Then screaming began, real screaming. People tried to run back. Some fell. Others froze in shock. More shots rang out as movement was detected. More bodies fell. Chaos everywhere. And in that moment, every illusion disappeared. This was real. This was a death game, and survival depended on absolute control. My heart pounded violently as the doll turned again, green light. This time, nobody laughed. Everyone moved carefully, stepping around bodies, trying not to slip on blood. Every red light froze hundreds of terrified players in impossible positions. Some crying while trying not to move, some shaking uncontrollably. Time slowly ticked down. The finish line grew closer. But so did panic, because every round, more people died, until finally, only a fraction of us remained standing. And I crossed the line with seconds left, collapsing onto the ground, shaking, unable to process what I had just survived. Behind us, the field was covered with bodies. The mechanical voice spoke calmly. First game complete. Survivors returned to dormitory. As guards marched us back, one terrifying realization settled in my mind. This was only the beginning, and many of us would never leave this place alive. Back in the dormitory, silence replaced panic. Everyone stared at the empty beds, where hundreds of players had slept only hours before. Now those beds were gone, removed as if those people never existed. Food trays were placed near each survivor. Simple rice and soup, but almost nobody touched it. Hands still shaking, clothes still stained with blood. Some players cried openly now, reality finally breaking through shock. A man near me kept repeating that he had a daughter waiting at home, over and over, like he was trying not to forget why he needed to survive. That was when something worse started. People began looking at each other differently, not as victims, but as competitors, because everyone understood one thing. Only a few would leave alive, and desperation changes people. That night, lights didn't turn off. Guards stood watching from above, silent, emotionless. And suddenly a fight broke out. Two men arguing over food. Pushing, then punching. Others joined. Chaos exploded inside the hall. People started attacking each other, some to release fear. Others realizing fewer players meant better survival chances. Beds flipped, screams echoed, people were beaten on the floor. Guards did nothing, they just watched, as if this violence was part of the game. I hid behind overturned beds with a small group, trying not to get dragged into the madness. And in that moment, I understood something terrifying. The real danger wasn't only the games. It was what fear was turning us into, after what felt like hours. Alarms blared. Guards stormed in, stopping the fight. Several players lay motionless on the floor. Dead without even playing a game, the mechanical voice returned. Unnecessary violence reduces entertainment value. Cooperation increases survival probability. Entertainment? They were watching this for fun. My phone vibrated again. A new message appeared. Second game tomorrow. Rest well. rest after all this, lying on the cold bed, surrounded by strangers who might kill me in my sleep. One thought kept repeating in my mind. Watching Squid Game alone at night had been scary, but living inside something like it was something far worse, because now there was no turning off the screen and no escape, and deep inside, I began to feel something even more disturbing, a feeling that whoever brought us here knew me personally, and this nightmare was somehow meant for me. Morning arrived without sunrise, because we never saw the outside world, only artificial lights turning on above us, reminding us another nightmare was about to begin. Guards entered, ordering us to stand in lines. No shouting, no hesitation now. Fear had trained everyone overnight. We followed silently, walking again through the maze of colorful stairs and endless corridors, until we reached another massive room. This time, the walls looked like a playground again. Bright colors, smiling cartoon paintings, fake happiness everywhere. But in the center stood something strange. A giant glass bridge stretched across a deep darkness below. 2 rows of glass panels leading to a distant platform. The mechanical voice spoke. Second game. Glass path. My stomach twisted. The rules continued. Players must cross the bridge by stepping on glass panels. 1 panel in each pair was strong enough to hold weight. The other would shatter. Anyone choosing wrong would fall and be eliminated. A timer appeared above. 15 minutes. Only those who reached the other side would survive. People started panicking again, because there was no way to know which panel was safe. The first player was pushed forward. He hesitated, shaking, then stepped on the left panel. It shattered instantly. His scream echoed as he disappeared into darkness below. The sound of his body hitting something far down came seconds later, and everyone froze. A woman behind me began crying uncontrollably, but guards forced players forward. Choice after choice, step or die, guess or die. One man tried memorizing patterns from previous steps, but eventually, luck failed him too. Glass exploded under his feet. Blood sprayed across remaining panels. Players behind had to walk through it, slipping, crying, trembling. When my turn finally approached, only a few panels remained. But most players ahead were gone, meaning more guessing for me. My heart pounded so loud, I thought others could hear it. I looked down. Nothing but darkness. Then my phone vibrated again. Inside my pocket, impossible. I secretly pulled it out. A message flashed. Right panel is safe. My breath stopped. How could someone know? Was someone watching my exact position? Or controlling the game? Desperate, I followed the message, stepping right. The glass held. Shock spread through my body. Another message came. Left next. Step after step, the messages guided me. Each panel correct, until finally, I jumped onto the final platform, alive behind me. The last remaining players rushed, some slipping, some falling, and then time ran out. Remaining glass panels exploded, sending everyone still on the bridge into darkness. Silence filled the room again. Only a handful of us survived. But my mind wasn't on survival. It was on my phone. Someone wasn't just watching. They were helping me, and that meant this wasn't random. This entire nightmare was personal, and whoever invited me into this game wasn't finished with me yet. Back in the dormitory, nobody spoke. The few of us who survived the bridge sat quietly, staring at nothing, too exhausted to cry, too numb to think. Every step now felt like borrowed time, because each game erased more people, and sooner or later, luck would run out. But my fear wasn't only about dying anymore. It was about whoever was guiding me, saving me, controlling my survival. My phone felt heavier in my pocket now, like carrying a secret I didn't understand. Late that night, when most players finally slept, I felt the vibration again. A new message. "You don't remember me, do you?" My heart raced, fingers trembling. I typed back, "Who are you?" Seconds passed, then another message appeared. 3 years ago, Riverside apartment fire. And suddenly, memories I tried to forget came crashing back. I used to live in Chicago back then, old apartment building near the river. One winter night, a fire broke out on the lower floor. Smoke spread fast. People screamed, running down stairways. I escaped barely, covering my face, pushing through chaos. But someone else didn't make it out. A neighbor, a quiet guy who lived 2 floors below. I remembered hearing later that he died trapped inside. And guilt hit me again now, because that night, he knocked on my door, asking for help, asking me to call emergency services because smoke filled his hallway. And I, panicking, trying to escape myself, ignored him. I convinced myself there was nothing I could do. That survival came first, but the truth was I chose myself and left him behind. My phone vibrated again. "You left me to die." Cold sweat ran down my back. I typed with shaking hands, "You're dead." A reply came instantly. Not completely. At that moment, lights inside the dormitory flickered for a split second. Every guard and camera above us shut off. Darkness swallowed the room, and in that darkness, someone whispered close to my ear, "Now you know how it feels to be trapped." I spun around, but nobody stood there. Lights returned seconds later. Guards unmoved, players still sleeping, as if nothing happened. But my chest tightened with realization. This game, these messages, someone here knew my past, knew my guilt, and this nightmare was punishment. But punishment from who? A dead man, or someone still alive, watching me suffer, and making sure I never escaped what I did. Because now, the game wasn't just about survival. It was about facing something I buried long ago. And I had the terrible feeling the next game would force me to confront it directly. With no way to run, sleep never truly came after that. Every time my eyes closed, I saw smoke filling hallways, people screaming, doors slamming shut, and someone knocking on my apartment door again, begging for help. Morning arrived with alarms echoing through the dormitory. Guards entered immediately, forcing everyone to line up. Only a small group of us remained now. Faces pale, eyes empty, nobody needed instructions anymore. We already knew what waited. Another walk through the endless maze corridors, until we entered a new arena, and my blood turned cold, because the room looked exactly like my old apartment building. Same hallway layout, same numbered doors, same flickering ceiling lights. Even the burn marks on the walls. My knees nearly gave out. The voice announced, "Third game, escape." Rules appeared on the wall. Each player must find the exit key, hidden somewhere in the building. Only one exit door works. Anyone still inside when time runs out will be eliminated. 20 minutes on the clock. Doors opened and panic exploded. Players rushed into apartments, searching rooms, throwing furniture, screaming. But I stood frozen because this wasn't random. This was my past rebuilt, every detail identical, even the door of my former apartment. Number 312. My phone vibrated again. You remember now. My breathing turned heavy. I walked slowly toward apartment 308. The door where that man lived, the one who knocked that night. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside, everything looked burned and destroyed. Furniture melted, walls blackened, and in the corner, a figure sat, head lowered, smoke drifting around him. My body refused to move. The figure slowly lifted his head, skin burned, eyes dark. But I recognized him, my neighbor, the one I abandoned. His voice sounded broken, echoing. "Why didn't you help me?" My throat tightened. I was scared. I whispered. "I thought I would die too." He slowly stood, walking closer, each step leaving ash footprints. "So you chose yourself." Tears blurred my vision, because there was no excuse, only truth and guilt behind me. Distant screams echoed as other players were eliminated somewhere in the maze. Time running out, but I couldn't move, couldn't escape this moment. My phone vibrated one last time. Only way out. Face it. The burned man stood inches away now, his face twisted between anger and pain. And for the first time, I didn't try to run. "I'm sorry," I said, voice shaking. "I should have helped you, even if I was afraid." Silence filled the apartment. Then his expression slowly changed, not forgiveness, but something quieter, acceptance. The walls around us began collapsing, reality breaking apart, and suddenly, a key dropped to the floor between us. I picked it up, running out as alarms blared, finding the exit door at the end of the hallway. Just as the timer hit 0, the door slammed behind me. Screams echoed from inside the burning building. Then silence. I collapsed on the ground outside, breathing hard, alive again, but understanding something now. This game wasn't only punishing me. It was forcing me to face everything I ran from, and deep down, I knew the final game was coming and survival alone wouldn't be enough anymore. I expected relief after escaping the apartment building. Instead, I felt emptier than ever. The guards led me through a long corridor alone this time. No other players, no footsteps beside me. Just my breathing echoing off metal walls. A single door waited at the end, larger than the others, different when it opened. I stepped into a control room. Screens covered every wall, showing past games, past deaths, moments of fear replayed like entertainment. And in the center of the room, a chair faced away from me. Someone sat there, watching everything. The chair slowly turned, and my heart stopped, because the person looking at me was me. Same face, same scars, same tired eyes. Just older, colder. He spoke calmly. I knew you'd make it. My legs trembled. This isn't real, I said, but he smiled. It's more real than you think. He stood up, walking closer. I survived the fire too, he said. Not physically, but mentally. Then I understood. This wasn't a ghost. This wasn't revenge from the dead. This was guilt, grown into something monstrous. I built this, he continued. After years of pretending I was a good person, after burying that night, after watching people suffer on screens and calling it fiction, he gestured toward the monitors. You watched games where people died for entertainment, and you felt fear, excitement, curiosity. So I asked myself, what if fear followed you home? What if guilt demanded attention? The room felt smaller. You kidnapped people, I said. They died. He nodded. They chose to come. Just like you chose to run that night. Desperation opens doors. People pretend they never knock on. I realized then, this version of me wasn't separate. He was what I became. A mind that couldn't forgive itself, so it punished everyone instead. The final screen lit up, showing a single button. The voice system activated. Final decision. The older me spoke softly. One press ends everything. The games stop. The doors open. Survivors go home. And you, he continued, walk away free. Again. But if you don't, the system shuts down permanently. No more games. No more punishment. But you stay here, with me, forever. My hands shook. This was the same choice. Escape or stay and face the consequences. I thought of the man in apartment 308, of the people who died screaming, of how easy it is to survive and still be wrong. Slowly, I stepped away from the button. I'm done running, I said. The older me looked surprised, then tired, and something like relief crossed his face. Alarms sounded, screens flickered, the system began shutting down. Doors across the facility opened. Emergency lights turned on. I felt the building shake, walls cracking. The older version of me smiled one last time. Maybe this is how we finally stop. The room collapsed into darkness. When I woke up, I was outside, morning sunlight in my eyes. Police lights flashing, paramedics shouting. They asked me questions, but I didn't answer. Because how do you explain fighting yourself? Weeks passed, no charges. No headlines, just silence. I moved to a small town. Stopped watching violent shows, stopped pretending fear was entertainment. But sometimes, late at night, my phone vibrates. No message, no number, just a reminder that some games don't end when the screen goes black. They wait inside you, and if you ignore them long enough, they find a way to follow you home.